Hello, I'm Nelson again, and I'm going to talk to you about the Citizens United decision. The section I had was actually from Clarence Thomas, or Justice Thomas, and it was pages 1 to 6, or on the PDF it was pages 178 to 183. Justice Thomas, this portion was him concurring in part and dissenting in part. 5 years ago today, the Supreme, or not today, 5 years ago in January 2010, I guess it's 6 years ago now, the Supreme Court handed down a decision that dramatically reshaped business and politics. So it pretty much had to do with how businesses can spend their money. In the Citizens United versus Federal Election Commission decision, the court opened the campaign spending floodgates, and the justice's ruling said that political spending is protected under the First Amendment, meaning corporations and unions can spend unlimited amounts of money on political activities as long as it was done independently of a party or candidate. So basically they can either back up a candidate or demean another candidate. That's the gist of it. And actually a recent analysis in 2014 in the Senate races by the Brennan Center for Justice found out outside spending more than doubled since 2010. So you can see how the effects are already coming since it has been about 6 years. The Congress may not abridge the right to anonymous speech based on the simple interest in providing voters with additional relevant information. So that's actually coming straight out of what Justice Thomas said. Justice Thomas also relayed back to Proposition 8 as one of his examples when he was talking in my reading. I'll just read you a little bit about Proposition 8. So it was amended in California's Constitution to provide only marriage between a man and a woman is valid for or recognized in California. So people who gave more than $100 to any committee supporting or opposing Proposition 8 was required to disclose their full name, street address, occupation, and their employer's name or business name if they're self-employed, and the total amount of their contributions. So this $100 limit, or not limit, but this $100 donation or more led to information being posted out, and then there was actually a lot of hate towards the Proposition 8. So I'll read you 2 examples. Supporters recounted being told, "Consider yourself lucky. If I had a gun, I would have gunned you down along with each and every other supporter," or "We have plans for you and your friends." And then another example, a woman who had managed her popular family-owned restaurant for 26 years was forced to resign after she gave $100 because of throngs of angry protesters repeatedly arrived at the restaurant and shouted, "Shame on you," at customers. The court conclusion that disclaimer and disclosure requirements impose no ceiling on campaign-related activities and do not prevent anyone from speaking. That was just the conclusion. So basically, they do not prevent anyone from speaking peacefully and exercising their First Amendment rights. The court nevertheless insists that as applied challenges to disclosure requirements will suffice to vindicate those speech rights, as long as potential plaintiffs can show a reasonable probability that disclosure will subject them to threats, harassment, or reprisals from either government officials or private parties, it'll be okay. So far in 2011 and in 2012, back then, they spent $378, and like I said, that's just from super PACs, and another $171 million came from nonprofits. So that's a lot of money being spent on these races. So basically, to end it, Justice Thomas' primary argument was that the anonymous free speech is protected, and that making contributor lists public makes the contributors vulnerable to retaliation, and citing instances of retaliation against contributors to both sides of a then recent California voter initiative. Thomas also expressed concern that such retaliation could extend to retaliation by elected officials. Thomas did not consider as applied challenges to be sufficient to protect against the threat of retaliation. So thank you for listening, and that's it.